Yeah, so looking at your questionnaire here, it looks like you've got some digestive issues, you got energy issues, unexplained skin issues, aches and pains in the body, rapid onset bowel movement. Have you had that looked at? Yeah, I went to a doctor. They said they didn't really know what caused it, but they said my body was like attacking itself or something like that. They said it just happens, and drugs they gave me were gonna cut down the immune system response to it, and so I should be feeling better in no time. Are you feeling better? Not at all. Well, yeah, it's because the drugs they gave you are shutting down your immune system. You see, what's happening is you're introducing things to your body, toxins, non-foods, things that are really throwing your body into a state of confusion, and it's reacting accordingly. It's doing its very best to survive. But what ends up happening is ends up attacking itself because you're introducing things that aren't human to it. So what do we do about it? Do you think you can stop taking poisons and eating non-foods? Yeah. All right, we'll start there.
Each one of these people who go through a transformation become a beacon of light in a dark world.
Yeah.
And they show people what's possible. And I think that's the ripple effect that we're playing with here, is that, you know, everybody can claim to know everything, but it's really in what inspires you to want to change your life so that you can become a better person and do the dharma you're supposed to do while you're here on earth. Because otherwise we're just living that perpetual loop of suffering, which I think is where all the growth is, but you can end it whenever you're ready. It's just a decision away.
All right, everybody, this is Coach Jerry here with Biohacking Truth, and you're very familiar with me, but today I've got a special guest for you. Now, I mentioned in the past my stance on supplementation, and you guys well know that I am a big fan of taking care of the important stuff first. What's going on in your mental scape? What's going on with your sleep and your introspective practice? Are you praying daily? What's going on with your movement? Are you moving in a way that is best for your body, that is building your body up and not breaking you down? Right. And most importantly, probably the most important thing, if we can say there's a most important thing, is what are you fueling your body with? What are you rebuilding yourself with? As my cells break down, as Jerry's cells break down and they die off, I can only replenish them with the quality of food that I'm putting in my body. So that being said, I am very excited to introduce to you today a friend of mine, good friend of mine. Her name is Raven Aya. And Raven is a superfood specialist, not only a superfood specialist, but an organic superfood specialist. And much like me, Raven is very much concerned with the environmental impact that any brand that she affiliates herself with is having on this planet. And I searched high and low, long and far. I actually had been introduced to this company in the past. Big fan, big fan. And it's no surprise that I ended up right back here with Raven and her team to offer you, my audience, my friends, my family, my clients, an opportunity to get involved with this. So without further ado, Raven, please tell my audience, if you don't mind, just a little bit about what you're about, what you do, and why you do it.
Well, aloha, Jerry. Thank you so much for having me. I love that whole introduction. I'm 100% a big fan of everything that you've already stated. So we definitely are very alike in our values and how we view being able to help other people. Absolutely. And so for me, I moved to Hawaii when I was 19 years old, and I started learning Hawaiian la'au lapa'au, and I basically became a sustainable organic permaculture farmer. So I've been doing that over here for over 20 years. So I have extensive knowledge when it comes to, can you feed your family out your front door? And what are the highest quality nutrients that you can grow in the tropics or potentially anywhere that can really help people to supplement going to a retail location to pay money for food to bring it home. So there's a lot of solutions that I have explored over the last couple of decades. So I've got really a lot of knowledge there. And about 8 years ago, I found the Superfoods company, and it seemed too good to be true. So I went and met with the owners, the founders. I've been through the facility. I've seen the extensive care that goes through 5 tiers of quarantine down to an infrared molecular scan for purity when it comes to our food.
Yeah.
And I had never seen that before.
Yeah.
So that really blew my mind, because there's no restaurant, there's no grocery store, there's no farmer's market that can show you that kind of data that can prove that this is the purest form of nutrition on the planet. And so that really got my attention. And then I started thinking about the future of food.
Yeah.
And as you know, I mean, 54% of all sales now are going through Amazon. So people are shopping online for everything. So it kind of made this perfect merge between the most holistic way to care for nature
Yeah.
and to work with the land and to be in harmony and to be sequestering carbon and to be creating regenerative farming and the future of home delivery. So it made
Ah,
so much sense to me because I was like, if you can't grow your own food or there isn't a farmer's market within your area, and as you know, there are a lot of food deserts in our country.
yes.
If you can't get access, then you're being denied God's given right for you to have the purest form of nutrition to take care of this holy temple vessel that we are so blessed with.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
really got behind the mission of making sure that people could get access if they so chose to change their life by changing their diet. And
Yeah.
I'm sure, as you state to your people all the time, if you're not paying attention to what you're eating and you're experiencing certain symptoms or certain pains or certain issues, there are foods that you can eliminate from your diet. You can nourish, you can detoxify, and you can cleanse the body to rebuild. I mean, I really believe in biological age. I don't believe in
Yeah.
chronological age.
Yeah.
And I think you could definitely agree with that. So it's really cool to be here with you and to kind of have this chat, because I've really walked every walk there is. I mean, I've done the full strict raw, I've
Yeah.
been vegan, I've only eaten out of my garden, I've gone carnivore, I've been a freegan and enjoyed everything I can possibly imagine. But really, when it comes down to the human body and science, it's not that complicated.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And that's what I love about you, Raven, is like it's very hard for me to find somebody that's got like an energetic match to me. And you're definitely
Oh,
that.
thanks.
And you're just so passionate about this. You're so fired up about this, right? And from what I understand, it's for all the right reasons. And you actually mentioned something a moment ago that is very, very important to me and like very, in my opinion, critical that we grasp this concept. And that's the quality of food that
Mm-hmm.
we're ingesting, but the fact that we do live in food deserts.
Yes.
Anecdotally, I live in Missoula, Montana, beautiful town, beautiful area, but really there's like, I don't know, two or three options, and you've got to hit them all to actually like get a bounty of food that's worth eating. And as we start looking at possible, people getting into storing food and, the food storage market that I see
Mm-hmm.
is really all about like survival, right? Let's get this crappy grain substance that you can store for years. Let's get this dried soup concoction. Let's get this, freeze dried bread, so it's really stuff that's not good for us anyway. So on top of being a really good resource, superfood resource for us to supplement our daily activities and get to thriving, as we look at like having to store food and what have you, what are our options with something like this? Because it's my understanding
Mm-hmm.
this is actually a really good viable option for storage as well.
100%. And I really want to go back to touching on something real quick before I go
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
storability. Missoula, Montana, if it's the winter and you have to walk outside your door to go find food,
Yeah.
what are your options?
Not a lot of ice fishing, maybe some deer, there's some deer in our front yard, but I'm sure everybody's gonna be shooting at the same ones.
Yeah, for sure. So I used to live remotely up in Oregon, and that was a huge realization for me was that I could only grow food a certain number of months out of the year.
Yeah.
And beyond that, if you needed food and you needed to survive, you were probably going to have to hunt. You were probably going to have to kill something and process it in order to get any kind of, protein, amino acid, caloric density in order to survive.
Yeah.
So where we've solved this problem is that we have the highest grade plant-based protein on the planet that has the most bioavailability that I've ever seen, a 99.99 NNU, meaning that there's only 0.1% of catabolic waste that comes
Wow.
off of our amino acids.
That's unheard
That's
of.
pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
So to look at protein and bioavailability within 23 minutes or less with a 99.99% NNU, I would rather have a cupboard full of that I can store endlessly. I mean, I've never had a bottle that I've opened that wasn't purely contained.
Mhm.
So in my theory, I think it's like space food. I mean, what else would you want to take with you into a
Right.
spaceship?
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things. Or you could have a freezer full of venison.
Yeah.
And hopefully you always have power to be able to keep that freezer frozen and you don't actually have meat that goes to waste. But then you have to cook it. So you're also looking at the combustibility of being able to break that down to where you can finally consume it.
Yeah.
So most animal-based proteins have a really high catabolic waste and actually only have about 18 to 33% NNU.
Mm-hmm.
So your body then has to deal with all that catabolic waste, your
Yeah.
kidneys, your liver, your colon. It's got to eventually work its way somewhere else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 100% into a carnivore diet. We live next to free range grass eating beef. We eat all the time. Like, I am by no means a vegan at this point in time, but when it comes to storability and survival,
Sure.
that's what's in my cupboard. And then
Sure.
I have an entire shelf of all of my greens, all of my grasses, all of my organic juices, fruits that I can't grow in Hawaii that are
Mm-hmm.
in basically a homeopathic dosage that all I have to do is reconstitute with water.
Sure.
And so when it comes to survival for me, instead of going and opening a giant like Rubbermaid tote and pulling out, beef stroganoff and chicken
Yeah.
fettuccine and,
Yeah.
jasmine rice with chicken or whatever the things are that most food storages are, is that's a way to fill your stomach. But is it a way for you to really thrive? Like,
Right.
you will probably survive, but how is your body really going to be at the end of that? And when I
Right.
think about going into the end of the world kind of scenarios, like, I want to run light. I want to have a lot of energy. I want to be
Yeah.
able to live very fully and have a ton of energy off a very, very low caloric intake. And
Yes.
that's where nutritional density versus caloric density is an ongoing argument out in the nutritional world. But for me, I have done a full solid 30 days on just superfoods and water. And I don't think I've ever looked or felt better in my life because I
Yeah.
was so light. There
Yeah.
was nothing weighing me down. All my cells had purified. I had gotten all the toxins out of the organs. And this is something in our environment that we have to realize, is that we are being chemically bombarded
Yes.
all the time from the sky, from the
Nonstop.
air,
Yep.
from the soil, from the food, from the water, from the off gassing of life, from the 5G, from the
Media, social
carpets, from the
media.
upholstery, from all the junk in our brains.
Yeah.
We are basically retoxing every single day. So if
Yeah.
you can find balance in your life to where you can get all the junk out and then you can kind of keep it out because you're at least doing a little bit each day, that's where I've seen people have the biggest progress and the most transformation in their life.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. You're speaking my language. You give me goosebumps, everything. I'm sweating a little under the armpit. All good. All good. You touched up on so many of my favorite topics that nobody talks about, right? And like, my brain went right to, like, yeah, I don't want to be like out hunting and gathering, in survival mode, like with autoimmunity, right? And
Nope.
and so, like, that brings us to, like, the importance of quality and uh not only in our food, but in our supplements. And one thing that I don't think people really realize is how, if they are taking supplements, the likelihood of them being tainted, damaged, denatured,
Toxic.
yeah, toxic. Yeah, we'll just say toxic. And like you said,
Unabsorbable.
unabsorbable, and they're really, like, making the problem worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this world that we're living in, with so many people being on the autoimmune scale on some way, shape, or form, and just
Yep.
highly
Yep.
toxic. So one of the big selling points for me, and what I've been just portraying to all my friends, family, and clients about this line of supplements, is just how really clean and reliable, and how much you can trust them all the way from top to bottom, in and up. And the lineup is huge. Can you tell me, people, tell the people how many products are available, and also what is different about the way we harvest our
Mm-hmm.
products and deliver them, compared to what you're going to find pretty much anywhere else?
I mean, this is as farm to family as it gets. And it really starts on the farms, which are geographically located far, far away from any potential pollutants. And we keep our locations secure. So I'm not going to tell you exactly where they are.
Yeah.
There's reasons for that.
Yeah.
And we go through a full rigorous growing and basically juicing on site, which is pretty cool, because as a farmer, you can't take everything that you harvest out of a field to market. You have a lot of leftover waste because of how it looks. Well,
Sure.
when you're juicing, it doesn't really matter how it looks. So we're able to get 100% harvest out of our fields at peak nutrition. We're live dehydrating by juicing them raw at about 60 degrees and then using warm heat to very gently dehydrate and remove the excess fiber, so that what we get is the purest form of nutrition from that plant, and we just suck it up into our vacuum bags. So what could have taken up 3 semi trucks full of broccoli ends up turning into a UPS box, which,
Yeah.
when you think about efficiency and when you think about traveling fresh fruits and vegetables from one place to the other, and how long it takes for them to get there, and how much resources you're burning to get it to that place, plus your gas, your refrigerator, your air conditioning, all the things that get you to go and purchase it and bring it home, it's really quite destructive. So we've cut that carbon footprint down to like 1%. There's
Wow.
no other company in the world that can do that.
Right.
Then we take every single one of our 6,000 ingredients and run them through 5 tiers of quarantine down to an infrared molecular scan on, I don't know, between 30 and 50 panels to test for purity. So you know that you are getting the absolute 100% pure molecule of that plant. And so our facility is really almost like an arc of data. It is the purest forms of these superfoods that exist on the planet, because we run such scrutiny. And just because somebody says something's organic, it doesn't mean that it's true. We had one ingredient that we went through 24 farmers that claimed and had certified organic that did not pass our test. We found one out of those 25 that we ended up partnering with.
So our test is more rigorous than the normal, USDA, the standard organic label.
Absolutely. I know organic farmers that use Roundup on their farms.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
And they justify it due to cost.
Yeah.
We are a 100% glyphosate free company. We are basically the anti-Roundup company, because we have the world's only supplement that's been proven to remove glyphosate from the body. And when we talk about autoimmune conditions, most people have some form of an autoimmune condition, but their doctor can't necessarily tell them where it's coming from or what exactly it is. So they're going to try some new drug and see what happens with that. Or you could get the glyphosate out of your gut and rebuild your gut microbiome and rebuild your microvilli so that you can actually absorb nutrition. Because honestly, glyphosate is it's unavoidable at this time. I mean, I don't even know what number we're at. I don't even know how many billions of tons that we're at that has been saturated into our earth. And if they're testing fields out in the middle of northern Canada that have never been anywhere near industry, and they're testing glyphosate in the soil, guess where it's coming from?
Amen. Yep.
So we have a huge invisible epidemic that's happening in our food supply. And most people don't know it. And when you tell them, they may not want to realize that the things that they're consuming that they love, that they don't want to get rid of, could potentially be carrying a cancer-causing agent. So this is a really hard conversation to have with people, because nobody wants to be told what to do. Everybody wants to be shown what's possible.
Sure.
And what I've seen be possible is that when you change your diet, and when you have the right tools, and when you change your water, and you give your body 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months, if you give yourself that much time to be disciplined, you can completely change your life using specific tools. And that's really why I represent this company the way that I do and use my voice to educate people, is because you don't know what you don't know, right? It's like if you love the cheeseburger and it's awesome, but then you find out what's really in the cheeseburger, you kind of are like, do I really want to, I mean, I know I like how it tastes, but do I really want to put it in my body?
Yeah, absolutely. And we described as a big shadow that we have collectively, right? Which is, glyphosate. And we at the same time can admit that we don't know what's causing all this stuff that's going on in people, right? I think some of us have a pretty good idea. But we've created a shadow where we don't want to look, right? Because we have an emotional tie to our food. And
exactly.
And that's the beauty of getting clean and getting healthy, is that once you're able to cleanse those influences out of your system, then they're no longer dictating what the mitochondria are calling for, what the gut biome is calling for, right? Because you've cleansed that out and you realize that you were being led by things that weren't you, right? Your gut biome. And
who's driving the ship, Jerry?
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's me, but no, it's not. It's not, because once you get cleansed and your cells get full of superfoods and particularly organic ones, you start craving that stuff, and you start feeling different when you don't have them. Real quick before I ask this next question, but Raven gets me really like excited. But before I ask this next question, guys, if you're interested in this, you're curious, like you're tired of hearing us talk, there's a link in the description. There's also a link in my bio. Click the Linkify link, click on Coach Jerry's Superfood Supplements, and you can shop right now as we talk. Anything you order today will be $50 off of $75 or more. You can get the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation Pack, which is a great startup pack for you. It gives you tips on intermittent fasting. You're going to get amino acids in there. You're going to get tart cherry juice. You're going to get all kinds of stuff that's going to help with all different elements of your cleanse and getting you back on track. And I also have a connection to that with my coaching package. We won't talk about that right now, but I will take care of you. I promise, I always do. So that being said, if you want to shop this stuff right now, go to the link in my bio, go to the link in the description in the comments here, and you can shop while we talk. But Raven, so we brought up so many amazing things here. What have you seen? And we're probably running short on time here, but I want you to share this because you've shared this with me and I've seen it myself. And it's really just, I mean, it gets me emotional when I see these people's testimonials and the results and experience they've had. What have you seen from people when they clean their gut and when they get rid of the glyphosate in their system? What kind of life-changing experiences have you been a part of?
I mean, they're so limitless. I have so many. I mean, I've been working with people for such a long time. I've helped transform over 10,000 lives just using social media and sharing my own personal transformation story. And every time what I see is that when you're ready to change your life and you make that decision, because everything else that you're doing hasn't worked, when you're ready and when you make that decision, usually that's when the package arrives on your doorstep, right? That's usually when the answered prayer arrives. But if you're married to your misery and you're looping your story and you're just stuck in the muck, most likely you need to cleanse.
Yes.
I'm just telling you, man, it's like every time I drop into it, my house gets so sparkly. I have so much energy. I look amazing. I feel amazing. I'm just glowing and radiating. When I'm feeling mucky, I'm like, I probably need to get all the old funk out, right?
Yeah.
So this amazing woman that I recently have been working with, she's a mother of 4. She's a news reporter. She had a very, very stressful life. She has to do a ton of research, investigative reporting, and then has to get on camera.
Wow.
And no one knew that she had been suffering with chronic pain for 17 years.
Oh.
And she was so puffy and so inflamed that one would think she's overweight, right? Like she's got 20 to 25 pounds that she needs to let go of because she's overweight.
Sure.
I get her on a 30-day program, and within 17 days, all the inflammation's gone. And by the time she finishes her 30-day, bombshell, like from feeling frumpy and yucky and not being able to get out of bed without her husband rubbing her feet and having to push all day and having to rely on coffee and not being able to sleep because her cortisol's through the roof because the world's insane. To go from that to that quickly is, to me, just like another testament of when you're ready, because I can tell you all day long how I can change your life, but if you don't want to change your life, then you're not going to go through the door. So it's really up to each individual. And I know you feel that with the clients that you work with too. It's just like, you can't help somebody who's not ready to change their life. Right?
Otherwise you tell them what to do. Yeah.
All we can do is lead by example. And that's where I see the most transformation happen, is that each one of these people who go through a transformation become a beacon of light in a dark world. And they show people what's possible. And I think that's the ripple effect that we're playing with here, is that, you know, everybody can claim to know everything, but it's really in what inspires you to want to change your life so that you can become a better person and do the dharma you're supposed to do while you're here on earth. Because otherwise we're just living that perpetual loop of suffering, which I think is where all the growth is, but you can end it whenever you're ready. It's just a decision away. Yeah.
Absolutely. And guys, like, I'm sure you guys are pretty fired up right now by now, because I'm fired up and I know everything about them. Like, so this isn't new to me, but what Raven's saying, like, this energy is infectious, and she's exactly right. And the tale that she just described, guys, this is your future. This is your future. If you're sitting somewhere right now where you're feeling that, where you're feeling the bloating, you're feeling the skin issues, you're just feeling that overall sense of heat in the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's creating that cortisol, that stress, excess anxiety, excess anger, what have you. If you're feeling that, just realize it's not something that needs to be, a 1 year transformation or a 6 month transformation. Now, it might take you that long to get to your end goal, but I'm sure Raven would concur with this. And Raven, if you got a different point, I'd love to hear it. But one part we miss about this, about the journey process, is that as soon as you take action and you buy in, you're in the journey. You are in it. So that's when it starts to feel like a win. You start feeling wins immediately. And that's for any transformation, guys. If you're trying to get rid of back pain, if you're trying to correct your
Mm-hmm.
breathing, if you're trying to correct your sleep, what have you. And all this is going to aid to that. But if anything about the timeline or being nervous to start is something that's in you right now, just realize that it can feel like a win instantly, and the results will come a lot faster than you ever anticipated, especially if you've got the right ingredients you're putting in your body and you've got the right guidance. There's really no way to fail so long as you're ready. And
I
so,
concur.
I was gonna say, if you got anything to add to that, bring it. But Raven, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this today for me and my audience, and not only that, but being accepting and open to me being a part of your team and being a distributor with you. It's a great honor to be a part of a company like this. And any of you that have followed me for any length of time or that have worked with me one-on-one, you know that I would not partner with a company unless they checked all the boxes. And this one certainly does. There isn't a single box they do not check, and I'm proud to be associated. So Raven, if I could just ask you, if there's anything that you would like to share with humanity, any message, any bullet points, anything, now's your time. What is some advice that you could give all of humanity? It's going to go out there in the ether today.
I've been doing a lot of work and a lot of internal work, a lot of unraveling. And the one thing that I could share with everyone, because most of the people that I associate with are masters at their craft.
Yeah.
And one thing I could share with the world is that we never really arrive. And the minute that you think that you've mastered something is the moment that you need to go back to learning. And the more we expand ourselves collectively around our planet and the more we do our own work to get our frequency clean so that
Yeah.
we can really truly walk in integrity, I think that's all it comes down to.
I love it.
Because we can all have our different views of where we come from or where we go once we leave this human body, but the work is now, and there's nobody that's going to do the work for you, and there's no place out there to go and get it.
Right.
It's a number one job, my friend. So that's what I would love
All
to
you
share with
need to
everybody.
possess. Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. And it's no coincidence, but that's a huge message that I always share with my clients is no matter what goal we're getting to, just realize by the time we get there, that's just going to be a process goal for the next thing and the next thing and the next, right? It never stops. All right, Raven. Well, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share this wonderful product with me and my audience. And I look forward to working with you more and just building this and sharing it with more and more people. Thank you very
I
much.
love it.
I love it.
All
Guys.
right.
Thanks
Aloha.
for tuning in.
Mahalo.
Aloha. And like I said, click that link, surf around, shop around. If you have any questions, reach out to me direct. And like I said, this is going to be tied into my coaching program. So if you're curious about that, how that will work out for you, please reach out to me direct. You can reach me on DM. You can reach me on my direct phone line, 406-241-3763. I'm always available on email, jerry@biohackingtruth.com. Until next time, guys, peace, much love, and live well.